Everyone, welcome back. Thanks for tuning this video. Today's video, I will show you the easy steps, perhaps the easiest steps, how you can blend different exposure of your images with the help of luminosity mask in the Lightroom and Photoshop. So let's begin right after this. So we have opened these two images, this image and this image in the Lightroom. So you can see this image, you have the foreground and the midground areas are well exposed, whereas the sky is blown out. Here you cannot see much details in the sky. And this image where the sky is properly exposed, you can see some details in the sky, and here in the foreground and the midground areas they are totally underexposed. So what we will do is we will take most of the sky from this image, and we will take most of the foreground and the midground areas from this image, and we'll blend together with this image to create this final image. So to do that, we have to select both the images, then right click in the mouse, go to the edit in, then open a smart object in Photoshop. This will open the images, both the images in the Photoshop as the smart images. So we have this image and this image, both are open in the Photoshop as the smart object. Here we can see the sign of smart object in this image. Now we want these two images to be in the layers, so what we can do is we select any of these two images. I will select this image. Now to compile these two images in the layers, we have to hold the shift key, then grab the move tool, bring it to the image, then click your left side mouse, hold it, then drag it to the other image, bring it back and release both the shift key and your left side mouse simultaneously. Then boom, you can see both the images are compiled together in the layers. Now these two images are become the layers. Now I want to keep this underexposed or the darker layer over the top of this image, which is somewhat well exposed except the sky. Now what we'll do is we'll select the darker image or the underexposed image, then we'll go to the channel, then we'll hold on the control key, then we click on the RGB channel, then you can see the highlight area, that is the most brightest area of this image being selected. Now we can click on the red, green or blue channel as well. As if you click on the blue channel, you have the most of the sky area is been selected. So you come back to the layer again, then we will add the layer mask over this selected image, that is the top image. Now just observe when I add the layer mask over this image. Boom, now you can see the 50% of the images of both the images being blended together. This image of the underlying image, and this is the top image with the layer mask, where the sky has been blended with the underlayer image. Now at this stage, if you're not satisfied with this blending, you can paint over this image so that you can reveal the underlying image over this area. You can paint with the black, take the brush and paint with the 100% opacity with the 100% flow. Now increase the brush size, then paint over this. Now you can see the brighter area become more brighter as the pixels are added from the underlying image. Now you need to paint over only the areas which having the underlying pixels of this image. This is the underlying image. We have to take the pixels, most of this from this area. So we're painting over only this area except the sky. Okay, the painting is almost done. Now if you're not satisfied, then you can always go back to the smart object. You click on the smart object image, it will open and we can adjust the exposure of this image. This image is the underexposed, so we will try to correctly expose this image by bringing up the exposure, then the shadows as well right there. Then we will decrease the highlights to bring some details in the sky, maybe whites a little bit, blacks, decrease down the blacks, then dehaze a little bit to bring some details, more details in the sky. Then press OK. Then you can see some changes over the sky as well as in the transition area between the sky and the tree. Now you can select another image and you can do the same thing. You can bring up the shadows, then decrease the highlights to bring some details in the sky, a little bit white, then dehaze it to bring out some details in the sky as well as in the foreground and the midground areas. Now click OK. You can see some again changes over the sky as well as in the foreground areas. Now you can see this image is almost blended. 90% of the image has been blended nicely without any halos. You can zoom in over the transition area, transition between this tree and the sky. There is no halos over this area. You can see over this area as well, there is no halos over the transition area. So this two image is perfectly blended with the luminosity mask. Now select both the images, then convert these two images into smart object so that you can always go back and re-edit the exposure of these two images if you don't like the current status of the image. Okay, these two images been converted into a single smart object. Okay, now go to the filter and select the camera raw filter to edit your image. Maybe if you're not happy with the shadows and you want more details to be in the sky, then you can always bring up the shadows, then you can decrease the highlights a little bit, then dehaze it a little bit more. Blacks you can bring up more so that the shadows will be recovered more. Now the curves you can adjust a little bit into the S curves. Now this image is been blended nicely with both the two images where we have taken the sky from the underexposed image and most of the area like the foreground and the midground areas from the well exposed image. So from this point you can do the local as well as the global adjustment of this image to create more beautiful image. So that's how we can blend together different exposure of the image into a single image with the help of luminosity mask. Now this technique of exposure blending has some problem. I'll show you what is the problem it is. Now we'll choose the different images, this image and this image. We'll select both the images and go to edit and we'll open those images as smart object in the Photoshop. Now you have both the images opened as smart object in the Photoshop. Now you can do the same technique. You use the grab tool, then select any of these two images. I'll select this image and hold on the shift key. Press on this image, click on this image, then drag this image to other image, bring it back here and release both the shift and your mouse button together. Now you'll see that both the images are compiled together in layers. Now here I'll bring the underexposed area over the top of the overexposed area. So I will select the underexposed area, then go to the channel, then click on the RGB holding the control key. Then you can select different red, green or blue channel. The red has the most area covered with the highlighted area has been covered, so I'll select the red area, red channel, and go to the layers again. Then add the layer mask over the darker exposed image. Then you can see the blending has already been done. Now if you are not satisfied, again you go to the smart object image, then since it is the underexposed image, you can correctly expose it by bringing up the exposure, then the shadows up, white a little bit, dehaze, bump it to bring more colors in the sky, then black a little bit more, the right hand side. Then the highlights you need to bring down to increase more the details in the sky. Then press OK. Then you can see this, the color of the sky is nicely coming out. Now go to the other image. Try to correctly expose this image, as this is the sky has been blown out. So bring out the highlight down, then dehaze more to the sky, then whites a little bit, shadows little bit, bring up, and expose it slightly, then you can press OK. You can see the blending has been done nicely. Now what is the problem here is, if you check on the edges, maybe right there, you can see some white halos over this margin. This is due to the shake of the camera. So if we try to select both the images together, and if you want to blend these two layers, so you can see there is no option for the auto align layers. So this is the limitation or the drawback of this technique. You cannot align these two layers of the images together when you open the images as the smart object in Photoshop. Always try to capture the image, different exposure of the image, without any shaking of the camera. Minor shaking of the camera or the tripod might cause or lead to such kind of edge shifting when you try to blend the different exposure of the images as a smart object in the Photoshop with the use of this kind of luminosity masking. Hope you all like this video. If you think this video helped you to develop your editing skills, please like, share and subscribe my channel. Thanks for watching this video, and bye for now.